Hello, I'm Cait Finn, the Playful Wise Woman, and you are tuning in to the Playful Wise Woman Show. If you listened to the first two episodes, you heard a lot about my origin story, you heard a lot about my why for doing the work that I do in the world, and you also heard some pretty personal stories around my life lessons and my lessons on what has brought me joy and how I came to terms with how important joy is and finding joy in our lives. And today's episode, I want to spend a little bit more time giving you some tools on how to take some steps to do this. Because if you're anything like me or like how I used to be, you are nonstop. Go, go, go. High achiever, doer. There's always something else to get added to the do list. Maybe you're a mom, a dad, a caregiver, a parent, a partner, business owners, a leader in your organization. Whatever that looks like, you probably have this drive and this belief that you need to do more to get more. And I'm here to kind of break that apart a little bit. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't take it the wrong way. I am not going to tell you that you get to just lay around and think through everything that you want to happen and it'll magically happen. I used to have a really hard time with the concept of manifestation and that word out there. But it was also because I really didn't understand what it was. And if you are someone that practices manifestation or is a little bit more familiar with the pieces of it, a big part of it is thinking and believing about what you want, but then also taking aligned action to create it. And I think that there's a lot of people and profiles out on the internet right now preaching this idea of going from one extreme to the other, right? Even looking at these concepts of masculine and feminine energy, that instead of being a doer and high achiever, you go to that other end of everything's just flow and intuitive and it just happens for you. And I don't really agree with either of those. I think it's a whole lot of in between. I think it's a whole lot of both and. But to unhook from what we've learned as high achievers, go-getters, caretakers, non-stop doers, we have to repattern ourselves a little bit. And first and foremost, we have to buy into this idea that prioritizing ourselves and prioritizing our joy is possible and is needed. And that's a lot of the work and the unpacking that I do with my clients. And I talked a bit about that in the first two episodes of the podcast. So if you missed that, I'd invite you to hop back and listen to those at some point when you have the time and capacity to. All my episodes typically, unless I have a guest on, are under 30 minutes. Because I know that that's how I need to consume podcasts and audio. And so I find that important for my listeners at this point in this season of the podcast, at least. So what I really want to do on today's episode is share a little bit of a story. I love telling stories. It's how I connect my wisdom to the lessons learned for you all, of my aha light bulb moment of what I really need to be doing differently. And then I also want to teach you some tools, and tools that I use myself daily and tools that I use with my clients. So I've shared a little bit that I have been all in on my businesses full time since 2020, 2021 time period. Was making the shift then, knew I was making the shift, all of that. And I also shared a big part of my story of that aha moment I had when I was burning out and overworking in my businesses the same way I had in my quote unquote 9 to 5s, because they were never 9 to 5s. They were always a lot more than that. By my doing often. And I had the aha moment, but I also shared that it took me some time to figure out how to make those shifts. And so fast forward to a year or two later, and I'm on a call with my then mastermind coach. We were on a one-on-one call, and I was struggling a lot with task switching. As someone who's multi-passionate, like, my brain is constantly going in a whole bunch of different directions, and I was struggling a little bit with that. I was burning myself out. I was getting task decision making fatigue, task switching fatigue, and I was starting to feel and notice a lot of resentment creeping back in. Resentment at my partner, resentment at my family, resentment at myself. And a large part of that was because I wasn't taking care of myself. And rationally, I knew that. And as a coach who was starting to weave that into her own work, I knew that. But I didn't know how to unhook from that. And so we're on a call, and my coach is like, "Oh, it sounds like you're really struggling with like task switching." And she kind of laid out an order for me that I've since honed and worked on. And what I've come to is, and this is going to sound really counterintuitive, my clients kind of always look at me like I'm, wearing a silly face or something. But there is a certain order that things have to get done in your day. Whether that's just a quick little transition from task to task, whether that's a bigger transition from moving from family time to work time, there is a several step process that I want you to check in with on yourself. And this is the order that it occurs. And it'll shift a little bit depending on what type of business you're in or industry you're in. But what won't shift is what has to happen first is, what do I need? Checking in with yourself, taking care of yourself. Then you check in on anyone that relies on you to live. Your animals, your children, your family, those nearest and dearest to you. Partners will put in that lane as well. They don't rely on you to live, but those nearest and dear to you that you love the most. Then for my business owners, it's your business next. You're working on the business, your strategy, you're checking on your to-do list, checking on your order of operations, whatever that looks like. And then finally, it's checking in with your clients. And this was the hard part for me because I had developed that habit, like many of you, where the first thing I did as soon as I woke up in the morning was I got on my phone and I checked the apps where my clients communicated with me to look for whatever fires I needed to put out. Or I opened my laptop as soon as I got downstairs and checked in to see what came in overnight. And by doing that, in my mind, I was doing the right thing because I was prioritizing my clients, giving them my all. But I was actually doing them a disservice because I was constantly in react mode. I was constantly frazzled and stressed. I was always waiting for the other shoe to drop. So when I started to regularly shift that order, I started showing up more at ease. I started recognizing the difference between an actual fire that needed to be put out versus something that was just getting me even more flustered and worked up because my nervous system was already on high alert, expecting something major, what's going on. And it really started to shift out. And then my clients and my family and myself all started getting better versions of me. So that's a big part of the work that I do with my clients. And what I mean when I say learning to prioritize and put yourself first. It doesn't always mean that you're going out you're taking the day off and checking out and not taking care of everyone. Sometimes you might need that, but it doesn't always mean that. It doesn't always mean like long bubble baths. Sometimes you might need that, but it doesn't always mean that. It really is a skill that we're starting to craft of checking in with ourselves. And this is the next piece of it, because I've given you the order, but it's kind of hard to do that. It sounds really simple, but when we're used to go, 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 nonstop, this kind of almost frenetic energy, right? Always in react mode. It's hard to say, oh, how do I check in on myself? And I've kind of coined it as this phrase that I've taught my clients and myself, something called the sacred pause. Because it's sacred. It's for you. It's in you. Whatever you believe. There is a sacredness to this relationship that you are building with yourself so that you can lead by example to your partners, your clients, your children. That is a part of the legacy that we can leave in the world, is how we show up for ourselves. The people we love notice that, right? For my parents in here, our kids notice how we talk to ourselves and treat ourselves, and they soak that in and then start rippling that out with themselves. So if we can teach you that sacred pause, we can teach you to actually hear what you're saying. So there's a couple steps in this as well, right? So the first piece is just literally physically pausing and asking yourself, what do I need in this moment? And you can clarify it for yourself, right? Especially if you're still in a really, really heightened, frenzied go, go, go phase, and the first thing you're going to say is like, I need to run away, or I need to not be near anyone. Probably not realistic, right? But you're in such an extreme response that you're going to an extreme. So we can reframe it, or we can get it more specific is, what do I need right now to catch my breath and reset? What do I need right now to feel a little bit more grounded in the next task? What do I need right now to bring a little bit more joy into a task that maybe I'm not looking forward to, so I'm avoiding it? Right? Those are just a couple examples for you. But the first step, step one, is that pause and asking yourself. And then step two is you actually have to let yourself answer. You do have to have a little bit of a conversation with yourself here, friends. Listen. Step two is listen. So pause, ask. Step two is listen. And then step three is like, are you really hearing it? Are you really hearing what you're asking for? Or is there maybe some sort of layer up here and there's actually something else you want or need, but you feel silly about it? I really need to just go stand out in the sunshine and barefoot in the grass, but I'm worried about what my neighbors will think. Right? What do you actually really need? And then I need you to trust yourself and give yourself what it is that you're asking for in whatever form you can. And the thing that I share with my clients, because I don't want you to go into an all or nothing mentality on this thing I share with my clients around this is sometimes this is just for 10 seconds. Sometimes this is when you're going from one task to the next on your checklist and you're feeling a little overwhelmed by that task that you don't want to do next. So maybe it's just, how can I make this a little bit more enjoyable? How can I make this 10% more enjoyable? Can I put on a fun show in the background? Can I put on a little music? Can I take a break and just move my body to ease some of the tension that I'm feeling building in my shoulders? These little things matter. These little things layer on each other over time, over and over. They layer and layer and layer until we are showing up more fully, more in capacity, all around feeling better. All around our best selves, all around prioritizing ourselves and prioritizing our joy. So that final step after trusting would be taking action. So pause and ask. Let yourself listen, really hear what's there, and trust and do. Maybe it is a half hour or an hour and you need like a walk outside and to reset. Guess what? Your to-do list will be there. Chances are, if you give yourself that 30-minute pause and reset that would probably stress you out because now you're going to be behind, you're probably going to get your to-do list done a little quicker because you're going to show up more rested, more grounded, more energized, more ready to go. And if we start to do that over and over and over again, we start to build trust with ourselves. We start to show up more excited. We start to create better boundaries. It is the first layering and the first foundation in the methodology, the framework, whatever language you want to use there, that I have built out and start to work on with my clients, especially when my clients are flirting with overworking, flirting with that burnout cycle, flirting with overwhelm and not knowing what's next. It's really teaching this idea of learning to prioritize and put ourselves first in that order so that then we can start to practice that sacred pause and then start to show up better, fuller, more capacity for our people, for our clients, and our businesses. This is how we build businesses in a way that works for us without just dumping more on our plate. This is how we show up for our people and grow and scale and evolve the businesses without just working more hours, without just burning out. This is the way. This is how we do it. I can't wait to hear what you think about it. I would love for you to drop me some notes on what it was like for you practicing this mindset shift, and also just practicing that order of operations for yourself, as well as the sacred pause. This is what I do with my one-on-one clients. This is what I do in my group spaces. I'm really excited to share that I'm going to be opening up a brand new mastermind for all my mom business owners out there called the Joy Collective. And it's going to be a 6-month mastermind together. If you're not familiar with what a mastermind is, in its true form, it's usually a longer program, and it's really, really high touch. It's a great way to get closer to one-on-one support in a small group environment, so you also get the benefit of community and other people who get it. So the Joy Collective is a mastermind for busy, multi-passionate mom business owners. It's going to be 2 group calls a month, one-on-one call with me, a group space, and we're going to spend 6 months in that container together, and then wrap up, and this is included in the price, with an in-person retreat in Pennsylvania together. So I'm so excited. I haven't even launched it yet. We're still working on the sales page behind the scenes, the team and I. But if you want to get this kind of support, send me a message. Send me a message on my Instagram at the Playful Wise Woman. Drop me a message on my website, caitfinn.com, and we can talk about whether a one-on-one spot, which I only have a couple of those left for the year, is the right fit for you, or you want to put a deposit down or get started on an extended early payment plan on that to help ease that piece, if that is the right fit for you. And we'll help you figure out what the right empowered choice is for you. So that's what's coming up in the rest of 2024. And if neither of those sound like the right fit for you, I can't wait to continue to connect with you on the podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Go find your joy and play more.